So my partner and I were talking the other day, and she said to me, what do you want to be known for? And that's a great question. And that's a question we should all ask ourselves. What do we want to be known for? Now, when we were having that conversation, we were talking about personal branding and how it applied to me and some projects I was doing, how it applied to her and some of her projects. And we were talking about it in general as well. So there's really a couple of parts to that question. Yes, it's what do you want to be known for? And I think there's a general answer to that, and then a personal one, or one that applies to your personal life, and then one that applies to your professional life. And that big answer covers them both, and I'll talk about that in a second. But then it's also a question of what are you known for now, and how do you change? So before I go into that, I should say this is the No Bad Karma podcast, season 2024, episode 9. And this episode is entirely unscripted. I'm sitting out here in the rain in Sharpsburg, PA, enjoying some quiet time, thinking about some things I'm trying to accomplish. And as I was thinking about this, I thought I would just talk about it because it really is something that applies to us all. And it has everything to do with living and loving intentionally. And I don't know if I can give you specific advice, but I can lead you in the right direction on asking the questions. And like I said, the first question is, what do you want to be known for? And if you think about it in the big picture, they'd say, what do you want on your tombstone? Right? Now, my generation, I truly believe, is the last generation, or the transitional generation between traditional burial and, put me in the furnace and spread me somewhere, toss me in the trash, recycling, right? Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But there's that big question. What's a one-liner that you want on your tombstone, right? So let's just pick something general. I want to be remembered for leaving the world a better place than I found it, right? That's your general. So then I said, I think there's a question under that. There's a part A and a part B. Part A is personally. And that has to do with your personal relationships, your friends, family, the organizations you were in. You can break down further bullet points if you want, right? But personally, how do you want to be remembered? He was a good son. He was a good dad. He was a good worker. He was a whatever, right? But then specifically with the work and stuff, there's that professional thing, right? Because you don't just want to be remembered as a good worker. What professionally are you trying to accomplish? If you're, assuming, and it might, let's hold on that for a second, because it doesn't even have to be a job. It could just be in an organization. Now, that's kind of the quasi-personal work thing. But if you're performing work for someone, and we all perform work for someone in some fashion, how do you want to be remembered, right? So let's say mine is leave the world a better place in general. Then again, personally, it'd be, he was a good dad, a great dad. He was a great son. He was a good friend. He was a good partner. He was a great ex-husband. He was, whatever, when that part of it, or it was good until the end, something, right? And then professionally, it might, well, I could tell you what it would be for me. It's very simple. It would be to leave every client I work for better off than when they started working with me, right? So I said the next question then would be, well, what would people say about you now, right? How are you remembered now? And again, you could look at that personally and professionally. Because if I go and look at that personally, what's my ex-wife going to say about me? What are my ex-girlfriends going to say about me? What's my mom going to say about me? What's my partner now going to say about me? Right? And that really, if you think about it, has to do with your last impression. Because all of those people in your life, personally, and then you could get into maybe the organizations you're involved with, those people, or the church you attend, or your bowling league, or your dart club, right? They all know you at a different point in your life. And their perception of you is different than someone else's. In fact, if you have two friends, one you've known your whole life and one you've known maybe since your college years, and your college year friends talking about how you party all the time, and the people you grew up with are like, what the hell are you talking about? That was a straight arrow, right? Everybody knows you differently. In fact, my partner and I were talking about the relationship children have with their parents. Because I'm the oldest of three, and my brother and sister are 6 and 8 years younger than me. And she's an only child, but she has a half brother who's about my age. And we were talking about how every child's perception of their parent is different. Because our relationship started with them at a different point in their lives and in our lives, right? So we forget that. But you have to ask those questions. What would those people say about you? Because no matter what they would say about you, good or bad, and let's just assume some of them are going to say all bad about you for a minute. Like my ex-wife would have a lot bad to say about me. And I know that in there's probably something that is, 10, 20, 30, 40% true? What percent is it for you? What would your friends say about you? Oh, she always stabbed me in the back. Oh, she was always there for me. Oh, I could always count on him. Because you have to be honest with yourself and say, what would those people say about me? Which of those things do I know have truth? How much truth is there? And then we're going to get to the question, what do I need to do to change it? Let's talk professionally. So I've been a consultant for 30 years, 10 with an agency, 20 independent. You could take 5 clients from that 30 years. You could take 5 clients from the first 10, 5 from the last 20. You could take 5 probably from the last 5 years and ask them what they knew me for. And they would all say something different. A bunch of them would say I sold them CRM software because that's usually how I got in the door. But that was one sale in relationships that went on 3, 5, 10, 11, 12 years. Because what they realized is I was a guy that they could count on during growth phases. And I would lead them forward until they no longer needed me or outgrew me. And that's what I should be known for. That's what I want to be known for professionally. But then I said this whole issue's got another question. And that is, so if you know what you should be known for personally, if you know what you should be known for professionally, And let me give you an example personally again. My partner and I are expecting. And when she was out shopping for a partner and I was out shopping for a partner, we both knew we wanted somebody. She knew she wanted somebody willing to start a family. I knew I was willing to start a family with the right person. And we found each other. And we did. We are. But I have a child. And she evaluated me in part on my relationship with my child, which thankfully is good, as good as it can get. But the point is, we have these other people in our lives that would say something about us and have an opinion about how we're known. And then there's something we want to be known for. And we have to ask ourselves, does it require change or not? Now, my relationship with my daughter didn't. But what I'm trying to accomplish professionally does. Because you have to take a look at where you're at with all those things. Think about where you want to be. And then you have to take a hard look at yourself and say, what image am I projecting? What am I reflecting? How do people see me? And you have to ask yourself what steps you need to take to get to where you want to be. And the truth is, it's really not that hard. It takes time, it takes effort, and it takes a desire to do it. That can only come from you. And what it takes can only come from inside of you. And I'll give you an example of how people want to try to help you. And how we want their help, but why it won't work. Always. I mean, there's always tidbits there you should take. But I'm out there trying to sell services. And as part of selling services, this is an example. I'm going out and applying for a lot of primarily contract jobs, but also a full-time one here and there. So I'm on, LinkedIn a lot. And today's market is entirely crazy to begin with. Today I saw a guy who had 4,420 some applications over I don't remember how many months till he finally got a 6-month contract gig. 4,400 jobs he applied for. And Oracle hired him. So he's clearly skilled, right? But what you see out there, and so, he was just announcing his joy, and that's great. But what you see out there when you're out there searching for jobs is all this advice. Everybody say, do this, do that, do that, do this, And here's the thing. It's not that some of them aren't giving good advice, but what they forget is we are all at different places. Personally, professionally, mentally, with our skill sets. So they're looking at things like skill sets, yes. And maybe your experience overall, yes. But as individuals, we're all in humanity together. Forget for a second we might be competing for the same job. as individuals, we all have our own struggles in pursuing our careers, our education, our relationships, right? So I'm giving an example about career here because I see a lot of advice from HR managers. And what's worse is people that want to sell you services to get there, right? And they're forgetting that you may have been out of work 6 months, a year. You may be struggling to put food on the table. You don't have your extra $100 sitting around for their guaranteed seminar to get you a job in 30 days. Think of education. I've known people that couldn't learn in a classroom, couldn't learn remotely when they had like during COVID, and they would drop out and didn't go back because now it's too overwhelming. My point with all these examples is only you are able to get to the bottom of what you need to do to feel better about things. And I'm sharing that because that's something I'm doing every single day. But at the end of the day, what it's really about is trusting yourself, your heart, your head, and your gut, which is something I thought I was going to be talking about next, but maybe it's a good lead into that. So to kind of recap here and tell you what I told you, what we're saying here is, what do you want to be known for in general? What do you want on your gravestone? And then how does that break down to the way I look at things is always humanity, others, and yourself. So personally, how do you want humanity, others, and yourself to be remembered? What do you want to be known for? And then I think we have to take a professional component and isolate that separately. So if you're out there looking for a job, maybe it's an advancement in a volunteer opportunity. Maybe you're trying to get on a board. Maybe you're trying to get a new client. You have to ask yourself, what do you want to be known for? And then again, you got to go back and ask yourself, what are people going to say about me now? What do they think about me? How do they know me? Can I give them a reference for what I want to be known for? If they know me for this? And the answer to that is probably yes. You just have to say, this person knows me for this part of that, right? But again, then you got to be honest with yourself and say, what is it I need to do to change? What is it I need to do to move forward? And that's when you really got to trust your heart, head, and gut. Keep doing it. Keep plugging along. The struggle is real, as I was talking about in the last episode. You can't let yourself get frustrated because you have to live and love intentionally. It's how you give your choices a purpose bigger than yourself. I'll see you soon.